The flickering candlelight cast long, dancing shadows across the walls of Ilara's workshop. The air hummed with the low thrum of magic, a comforting symphony she usually relished. But tonight, the magic felt thick, almost suffocating, mirroring the tension in the room. Her fingers, usually nimble as they coaxed life into enchanted artifacts, trembled as she adjusted the delicate filigree on a miniature dragon. Behind her, a figure moved, a shadow darker than the rest. It was Cullen. His presence always felt like a storm brewing, a powerful, elemental force. He stood tall and broad, his shoulders almost brushing the low ceiling. His deep voice, usually a comforting rumble, held a sharp edge tonight. "Ilara," he growled, the sound resonating through the small space. "Who was that?" Ilara flinched. She knew the tone. It was the prelude to the storm, the low rumble before the lightning cracked. She set down her tools, her breath catching in her throat. "That? Who are you talking about, Cullen?" She tried to sound casual, but her heart hammered a frantic rhythm against her ribs. "Don't play coy with me, Ilara." "The messenger." Cullen took a step closer, the faint scent of ozone clinging to him, a byproduct of his earth magic. "That young man, the one with the wide eyes. He lingered far too long at your door." Ilara sighed, a weary sound that did little to appease the beast in Cullen. He was delivering the new shipment of moonstone powder, Cullen. Nothing more. He didn't buy it. He never did. Cullen had a possessiveness that was as deep and ancient as the mountains he commanded. It had been charming at first, a testament to his devotion. Now, it felt like a cage, gilded and beautiful, but a cage nonetheless. "He was looking at you." Cullen's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper, his dark eyes, the color of rich earth, boring into her. "He was looking at you the way a starving wolf looks at fresh meat." The absurdity of the comparison would have been humorous if Ilara hadn't been so used to Cullen's dramatic pronouncements. "Cullen, please," she pleaded, turning back to her work, hoping to diffuse the situation. "He was just a messenger. And I was purchasing moonstone powder for my work. You know that." But Cullen wasn't finished. He crossed the small distance between them in 2 long strides. He reached out, his large hand covering hers, stopping her from continuing her work. His touch was both possessive and possessive, a gentle restraint laced with underlying force. "You are mine, Ilara," he murmured, his voice a low caress now, but carrying the same unwavering intensity. He leaned closer, his breath warm against her ear. "You belong to me." Ilara shivered, not entirely from fear. Cullen's touch always had that effect on her. It was a primal pull, a magnetic force that she both adored and resented. He turned her face toward his, tilting her chin up with a gentle but firm grip. His gaze was intense, unwavering, full of a raw, undeniable passion. His deep voice vibrated as he spoke. "And I will not share you with anyone. Not even their fleeting glances." Then, he lowered his head, his lips finding hers in a kiss that was both demanding and tender. It was a kiss that sealed them together, a physical manifestation of the bond, or rather the chain, that bound them. He angled his head, deepening the kiss, his tongue tracing the seam of her lips, pulling a soft moan from her. It was a kiss that stole her breath, made her forget the argument, the messenger, everything but the feeling of him. The room seemed to melt away as the kiss continued, long and lingering. He pulled her closer, his strong arms wrapping around her, pressing her against his chest. It was a kiss that was intimate, possessive, and undeniably romantic. It was a kiss that projected onto the very walls of her workshop, a silent declaration of ownership. For a moment, she forgot her frustration. For a moment, she surrendered to the pull of him. She kissed him back just as fiercely, her fingers tangling in the dark, silken strands of his hair. The anger, the jealousy, the possessiveness, for that brief instance, all faded into the background. All that remained was the intoxicating pull of Cullen, the earth magus who loved her with a consuming, almost suffocating passion. When he finally broke the kiss, his eyes were still burning, but a flicker of something softer had appeared there as well. A flicker of vulnerability. He gently brushed a stray strand of hair from her face, his thumb lingering on her cheek. "Forgive my overzealousness, my heart," he whispered, his voice husky with emotion. "It's just. You are too beautiful, too precious. And the thought of another even looking at your broken bar, it drives me mad." Ilara's heart softened at his words, even as a small part of her yearned for a love that breathed more freely. She knew the path they walked was paved with burning passion, a path both terrifying and exhilarating. And as she gazed into Cullen's dark, possessive eyes, she knew that she wouldn't have it any other way. For now, at least, she belonged to him, and he, indisputably, belonged to her. Even if his love was a storm, it was her storm. And sometimes, she found, she loved the rain.